Late, but live. Glad you guys are here. Welcome in on this Thursday night. As you can probably hear, I am dealing with a bad sinus infection. It is kicking my butt. I'm going to have to pause and stuff. That's okay. I'm just glad you're here and appreciate you being here. My apologies for being late. Bedtime was again difficult. We are going through a period of not wanting to go to bed when it's time to go to bed, and we overcome. That's what we do. We battle through adversity, and we overcome, and we get the little man to bed. So my name is Michael Borky. I am glad you're here. This will be a shorter one, probably because just dealing with all this stuff. But please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Appreciate you being here, and kind of an odd week despite the Super Bowl coming up in Mississippi sports. So we had basketball. It didn't go well for Ole Miss on Tuesday. State did win last night. That was an important win for them. Not a big win, but an important win. Losing that game would have set them back pretty dramatically. So they got that. No basketball this weekend to talk about. Baseball still a week away. So it's kind of a weird time right now, but glad that you guys are here. So you probably saw it, but in case you didn't, this is the lead topic tonight anyway, and then we'll get to whatever you guys want to talk about. Of course, the coaches released their predicted order of finish, or rather the SEC released the coaches' predicted order of finish in the SEC this year in baseball. And to what should be nobody's surprise, not particularly high on the teams here. First, I'll just run through the East quickly. Florida 1, Tennessee 2. Florida got 11 first place votes. Tennessee got 2. Vanderbilt got 1. So 1, 2, and 3 there. South Carolina at 4. Kentucky at 5. Georgia at 6. Missouri at 7. In the West, Arkansas at 1. People are really high on the Razorbacks this year. Forgive me. Arkansas 1 with 9 first place votes. LSU 2 with 5. Nobody else in the West received a first-place vote. A&M 3, Alabama 4, Auburn 5, Ole Miss 6, Mississippi State at 7. It is not surprising that they were picked to be in those spots. All of the publications that cover college baseball are kind of doing the same thing, if we're being totally honest. Guys, I don't know if I'm going to get through this. All the publications did the exact same thing. Pretty much the same thing. And so what does it mean, I guess is the question. And do you think that they are accurate? Do you think that they are right? Because remember back before football season, as we were talking about this very thing leading up into the start of the season, Mississippi State was picked to finish last or at the bottom. And I repeatedly told people that, that's justified, and here are the reasons why. And for whatever reason, there was that constant, there's no reason for this, and they returned too much and all that. And turns out the pollsters were right, which is not a typical thing when it comes to Mississippi State. Mississippi State, according to the data, the numbers say that they are perpetually underachievers. And for what it's worth, they kind of got Ole Miss right as well. And if anything, Ole Miss was undersold going into the football season. Oh, sorry. Shoot, I forgot to mute. I'm so sorry. Oh, that was terrible. Oh, please forgive me for that. That could not have been pleasant to hear. So are they going to be right in baseball like they kind of were in football? This told me two things. One, that first of all, the SEC is just really, really good. I know that's kind of like Pollyanna or whatever, but it is. I mean, think about how many programs in the country would trade their roster right now for Ole Miss or Mississippi State's. There are so many programs that would immediately right now trade their talent for these two, and yet they're picked to finish last in the West. The SEC is just an absolute bear and a perpetual bottom feeder, and Alabama is probably going to be pretty salty this year in the league. So the SEC is just tough. I mean, I like some of the pieces that both Ole Miss and State have on their rosters, and still They're picked to finish at the bottom, and justifiably so, mind you. But also, this means that they're just going to have to prove it. It's really that simple. I saw a tweet yesterday that was like, this guy for Ole Miss is going to be an All American, and this guy's going to be great. This guy's elite. This guy's this guy's that. It's like, you know, I hear you, and I respect and admire optimism, but there's absolutely no rational reason to think anything like that about this Ole Miss team right now. Again, I like what they did in the portal. They did quite a good job in the portal. Mississippi State, not so much, but they return a ton in their lineup, and they should be able to hit the ball really well. Ole Miss loses Rivas 2 weeks before the season begins. That's a devastating blow, but you seem like you've got potential to have pretty good pitching depth, and it's all a bunch of question marks. It really is. And so as a result, you're going to get picked where they got picked. And I know that there's always every year preseason polls don't matter. Preseason rankings don't matter. None of this matters. This is all stupid. I disagree with that. Now, they're not worth everything, but I do think that preseason polls and expectations can do a lot of things for you. Because most fans are not you guys watching a live stream on a Thursday night in February. You guys are the dedicated ones. You're the committed ones. Most people that watch these teams, the majority of people, just think, hey, are we going to be good or are we going to be bad? Like that's the genesis, or that's like the most they talk baseball before the season begins is, I hope we're good this year. And preseason polls, as weird as it sounds, help casual people engage a little bit. Because if your team starts ranked number 10, the casual fan that doesn't really engage is like, well, shoot, they're really good. I may need to watch them. The casual fan right now is going to look and think, nobody thinks they're going to be good, so I'll wait and see. So it helps with like fan morale and hype going into a season, but also, especially in football, not so much in baseball, but like the preseason poll in football is going to matter. Because if you start ranked ahead of Penn State, for example, and you have a similar record and resume, you're not going to suddenly fall below Penn State. Your ranking and your status and the way people look at you will matter in football when it comes to rankings in the playoff and things like that. It helps sell recruiting. It helps get attention. They're not completely useless and meaningless. They're worth very little, but there's still some value in them. So they're going to have to prove it. They're going to have to overcome really low expectations in 2024 because it's 2024 now. Give me 1 second. This is going to be a long night for your boy. Let's get to the comments because I'm not going to last very long. Jerry, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. Baseball, who's excited? Honestly, not you right now. Still in basketball mode. I hear you. But the ability to balance the two is actually a lot of fun. I mean, it's really a lot of fun as a fan. This next few weeks are great. Got Super Bowl this weekend. Baseball and meaningful basketball for the next few weeks after that. That's a lot of fun. So I'm with you. I hear you. But, I mean, this time next week, we're talking about opening day and first pitch. Can't really blame Ole Miss and State being picked last. Ole Miss losing Rivas is brutal, and they're a wild card, and you and I share a pretty similar opinion on State. Yeah, I think they're going to hit pretty well. I'd like to see them pitch it before I start talking about improvement there. Did not do well enough in the transfer portal to change expectations. So good luck. Yeah, I need it. I need it right now. We're talking about Ole Miss, who went 6-24 last year, and State, who was 18-42 over the last 2 years. Yeah, and those 42 losses were largely non-competitive. I mean, really not competitive, and it just did not pitch it well enough at all. And I mean, brought in South Carolina's pitching coach. That was a really good hire. But we'll see. You guys are going to get annoyed by me saying we will see about these teams because that's really all I'm going to offer is we'll see. Can this guy be good? We'll see. Will this guy take the next step? We'll see. I just when you come off of teams and records as bad as those two a year ago, I have a hard time doing any level of hyping. Totally different story coming with Ole Miss football this fall. I'm going to spend the next 7 months hyping the hell out of that team because they have earned it. It's a team that won 11 games and returns what they do and portaled what they did. They will have earned said hype. With baseball, I just can't do that. I'm going to keep referencing that tweet I saw the other day, and I mean, it got a lot of engagement, but I mean, that's Jonestown type stuff. I mean, you really need to pump the brakes on that Kool-Aid. You got to see it first. I mean, Iowa's going to come to Oxford, the higher ranked team, and we'll see. You like the lineup in the bullpen for Ole Miss? Just worry about starters after Quinn. There's one small silver lining to the injury to Rivas happening. It's that in Hawaii, you get to have two guys have a starter's audition because you're playing 4 games. That's helpful. You get to see, it's actually kind of a big stadium. I don't know how supported they are, but the stadium's actually pretty big there in Hawaii. But you get to look at 2 of your options, and you've got a long time to figure this out, of course. Remember, Dylan DeLucia didn't start regularly pitching for Ole Miss until like April. So they've got some time. But you get 2 guys who are auditioning for one spot, seemingly so, a look as a starter, how they handle it, how they approach it, mentality, locating pitches, and also you're on the road. So having these 4 games is actually helpful, I think, because you get a starter's look on a weekend from 2 guys instead of just 1. Try raw honey with my coffee. I have avoided coffee for the last couple of days just because I knew that this was on its way. I appreciate that, though. I've heard that. That's a really good trick. I've got some stuff. It's going to help me out. It's just it's the worst this time of day, and so yeah. And everything I take is at night and in the morning, so I'm at the very end of the morning. And anyway, you guys don't want to hear about that. For those of you listening to the podcast, I'm really sorry because this cannot sound good at all. State's non-conference schedules or State's conference schedule is insane. Yes, it is. And their non-conference schedule is not going to prepare them for their conference schedule very well. It's quite weak. You don't think Ole Miss can go much lower than 6-24? Can they win 13, 14 league games to make a turning push? I don't know. Yeah, it would be difficult to be much worse record-wise than they were last year. The Iowa series is going to be a good test. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're going to come in ranked higher. How about that? What a world we live in now. Is that Iowa's going to come in ranked higher than Ole Miss? But yes, that'll be a pretty nice gauge of where they are. I think Iowa's going to pitch it pretty well. So, but I mean, just like last year, they kind of dominated the Big Ten, and then SEC play came, and look at what happened. So it's clear both teams have taken a step back, but you actually think it's more of the others in the SEC getting better? Probably a combination of both. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can hear that song right now. Just pop, 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 pop. The season starts next weekend. So I think Ole Miss's first game is at 10:45, I believe, or 10:30, 10:45 Central Time because they're playing in Hawaii. It is listed on ESPN Plus, by the way. So I think you might, if that's accurate, I think you might be able to watch it. State will get underway if it goes to chalk. I'm pulling up the schedule right now. While we are on the air next Friday is when they will be starting. My computer's being very slow right now. These school websites, they're nice, but TBA start times. They haven't announced a start time yet. So there you go. It will be early in the day, though, like 3 o'clock, 3, 4 o'clock, I would bet, because that's usually how they go in the early season. So they're doing a lot of military, like Air Force stuff with that series. It'll be really cool. So be on the lookout for that. It's actually like they're doing paratroopers and stuff like that. It's going to be really cool. Can't wait for more deluxe seating options at Swayze and nothing done in the student section, which was supposed to start after last year. And you know why they do it? Students don't make them money. That's exactly why. And if NIL wasn't a thing, if that wasn't a thing, then they would be doing it. But right now, they are having to maximize every single dollar. I mean, they have to, because it's the same people that fund those projects that also are funding NIL. And what's more important, updating the student section at the baseball field or making sure that you can pay Walter Nolan to play defensive line for the football team and be a first round pick? You know, which one's more important? Those are the conversations that Keith Carter and Zach Selman and ADs all over the country have to have now. Is what kind of stadium project makes sense? Which one is right? And so for baseball, I mean, it stinks that they're not moving the outfields in when they were supposed to, because those renderings looked really good. Now they still want to do those, but the students don't make any money. And frankly, they look really happy out there. It's not like the student section is bad. Like you get to bring your own beer into the stadium. You don't have to pay. You sit out in the Mississippi spring weather, and you can bring your own cooler and put whatever you want in it. Like the student section at Ole Miss is totally fine. Like it's a great place to watch a game. So spending any amount of seven figures to update that would not be fiscally responsible right now when you're asking, again, those same very people to pay the players. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is. Every project, at least in the interim, is going to be centered around premium seating moving forward until things change, because you have to maximize your dollar. And if you look at the budgets around the SEC, Ole Miss is at like $135 million, which is great, but Texas is at $230 million. You're competing up a hill. You're fighting against people that have higher ground than you, so you have to maximize revenue. It's a shame that they can't update it right now, because it looked good, but it is what it is. The chair rush has been taken away. I actually like that. I like that because you don't have people that have their seats reserved that aren't showing up also. So you heard that Austin Simmons clocked 96 fastball on the mound. Yeah, I guess we're not going to see much of him during the spring, which that's not ideal for him. If he's playing baseball in the spring, that means Walker Howard is getting a lot of spring reps. And because Jackson Dart is an established starter, and I mean, he was really banged up at the end of last year, so I assume they're not going to let Jackson Dart be a full go in the spring. So obviously, the quarterbacks are going to get a lot of run, and him playing baseball means that Walker Howard's going to get a lot of run in the spring. And I know that people say spring's not important, but that's more than a dozen practices where Walker Howard's going to be taking a lot of snaps without any competition with him. He will be getting acclimated in the offense. He will be establishing himself with the team. And again, Simmons will join the team and be able to catch up on that. But still, that's something that I'm curious what that dynamic is like. How many practices can he go through in the spring? What is his football availability? Because after this year, he's competing with Walker Howard for the job. So Friday at 10:35, Saturday 5:05, and 8:35, and Sunday 5:05. I actually like the late Sunday starts. I think we need more of that. But yeah, 10:35. I don't know if I guess I have to technically stay up for that. So good luck to us. Freshman to sophomore jumps are critically important to Team State. Has big opportunities with Dakota, Highfield, Mershon, Chance, Tarungelo, Lofton. We have to remember they put a lot on these young guys. Absolutely. And ambidextrous with the K still didn't work. Nobody picked up on that, Jay. Nobody wanted that. It was a great nickname in my head and nobody else's, apparently. It's football over baseball 10 times out of 10, but you'd rather not have 3 chicken tenders and some basic fries be $20. Well, that's something that you know me. We've talked about that before. Because the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta is the gold standard for that. They make a killing on concessions, and they are cheaper. Why? Because people feel like, well, you know, should we eat before the game or should we eat at the game where they overpriced not great food? Well, that's an easy answer. But the Falcons learned that people spend more in their concession stands because they get more. And it really doesn't affect their bottom line at all. In fact, they're making more money. So it's a shame that not everybody's caught on to that. All the students want is beer and a place to pee. That's about it. Sorry, that's vulgar, but that's true. Feel like that everyone can now have a fair chance at seats, but it's kind of a double-edged sword for you because you were one of the first in line last year and used your seat all season. Hopefully it's civil. Yeah, it'll never be civil. Good luck. It's the Hunger Games out there. You would be surprised if Austin only plays baseball just this year and then only focus on football. That would not surprise me at all. I would not be surprised at all if this is if he's not long for baseball. Because I mean, if I don't know, I never like saying this player should only focus on this. Like with Plumlee. Well, Plumlee should just play football. Well, no, because that would be a mistake because he wouldn't play baseball and he probably wouldn't start on the football team either. Not at Ole Miss anyway. Did at UCF, obviously. Or he should just focus on baseball. But why? He's a good enough football player. I don't know. I don't like having that angle of this is what the player should do. You know, I don't like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's not long for baseball because of how super talented he is at quarterback. What are the prices for a baseball game ticket? If you sit in the outfield, it's like $5 or $10. They're cheap. Yeah. Baseball is much more economical around here for sure. Who you guys got in the Super Bowl, by the way? Who do you have in the Super Bowl? I am going with the Chiefs. Betting against Patrick Mahomes seems just not very smart. It's just not smart. So I'm going with the Chiefs and the exhausting, never-ending storylines that come with the Chiefs winning again. So you got the red team winning the Super Bowl. Yeah, it's a good pick. I think you'll probably get that one right. Watched some college basketball last night. You think you're to the point now where Auburn has the best atmosphere in the league and maybe in the country right now. Can't wait until the pavilion cameras are flipped. Yeah, I mean, Auburn's like got a Cameron Indoor kind of thing going there right now. It's amazing what winning does. Isn't it? It's amazing what winning does. But yeah, they've really leaned into it. It's really cool to see a non-traditional program like Auburn kind of take hold. I don't like stale. You guys know that about me by now. I like a little variety in my sports. I don't get excited. Like, I'm going to watch the Super Bowl, of course, and I'm going to enjoy Patrick Mahomes playing because he's one of the, if not the greatest already quarterbacks to ever live. Like, I enjoy watching him play, but I would have preferred the Ravens beat the Chiefs. I would have preferred the Lions win. I like a little variety in my sports. And so I like that Auburn is where they are right now. I like that they're winning in basketball because I like that they've got an environment like that because it's, what else can we say and talk about Duke? We all know about Duke. It's time for somebody else to have that. It's time for somebody else to have that. You got Chiefs at a wild score of 43-33. Be a fun game. I'm in for a lot of points. Thinking about putting some bets down for Kansas City. Also, Travis Kelce, MVP bet in there. Oh, he will. If he has a good game, he's the MVP. As long as they win, of course. How quickly will Justin Parker get a head coaching job? If he turns the Bulldog pitching staff around in year one, he will get one after year one. Yeah. If he turns it around and they perform well, he will be a head coach somewhere after this year. He's really sharp. I like him a lot. That was a really good hire from Chris Lemonis. He's good. He's going to be good. Is it on Paramount Plus this year? Not this year, but I don't care what Goodell said that Super Bowl's not going to be streaming under his watch. I have a feeling one day, before we all croak, that the Super Bowl is going to be streaming. I have a feeling. You don't think the Niners have much of a chance? You're shocked they're favored. Betting against Mahomes isn't smart. It isn't smart. No, it is not. And their defense is suspect. Yes, it is. But their collection of weapons is unbelievable. I mean, Ayuk is their fourth option. I keep saying that on the radio. It's like that's how good they are offensively, and that's the kind of weapons, the plethora of weapons they have is that Ayuk is their fourth option. But man, Purdy's been good-ish in the playoffs. I still think we dramatically overhype Brock Purdy. I think he's good. Certainly not great, and Mahomes is great. And when it comes to a game like this, greatness, I think will take over yet again. So I'm going to hang it up early. I can't do this anymore. I appreciate you guys. You guys are the absolute best. I'm sorry. I'm struggling. So no stream Sunday. I will post a couple of videos this weekend, though. Hopefully they get watched, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday. So I'll be back live on Tuesday, but I will post between now and then. So I'll see you guys then. I'm gonna go get myself better. Talk to you guys soon.